Today we're going to make the Coca Cola sign. It's one of my favorites. I take a router and I cut around the letters, and then I take a router and clean out the whole background. It's a little time consuming. So this time I think what I'll do is I'll just take the router and we'll clean out the inside of the letter instead. It should go a little bit faster. So I've taken 3 1x6s, glued them and clamped them together overnight. We wanted to have a nice smooth finish here. I'm going to go back and sand this down because we have a little edge right here where the 2 boards meet. They're not completely level. So I'm going to take a sander now and sand this down, because if we don't get that edge off while we're taking our router and moving it around, it'll hit that little lip and cause us to mess up our cut. Now we've sanded it down nice and smooth so our router will glide over the wood and we shouldn't have any problems with it. So I'm going to take it out of the clamps now. So I have my Coca-Cola picture that I printed off the internet. It's a website called Posteriza. It's free, and I just print it off on my printer and then tape the pages together. So what we'll do in order to get this onto here is I'll take copy paper. You can buy a whole pack of this off Amazon for like $4. It's like 100 sheets. So I'm just going to lay it on here. I've used it several times. You can use them over and over. Now we lay our Coca Cola sign out. We have it laid out. I've got it marked in the center here. We're going to even it up. Once we get it all cut out, we're going to run it through the table saw and shape up the edges. But I need to have it wide so when I'm cutting this out, my router doesn't fall off the edge. So we want to keep it a little bit wider than what we actually need. So it looks like we got it pretty well centered. Now I'm just going to tape it down. So now we have our copy paper up underneath our Coca-Cola sign. So I'm just going to take a pencil and just draw around the edge, follow the line. Okay, now I've outlined all the letters, so we'll just take our Coca-Cola sign off. And now our stencil paper off, copy paper. And now we have our Coca-Cola sign. So it's just a real rough drawing of it. Doesn't have to be perfect. Because now we're going to take a Sharpie and go back and outline it so we'll be able to follow it with our router. Okay, so I've gone back and traced it all out again with a Sharpie, so I'll have a nice dark line to follow. Now we'll set up our router and we'll route this out. So now we've placed our Coca-Cola sign on this table, and I put a little wood stopper here and one here just to keep it from moving around. We're going to take a 1/8 router bit and we're going to follow the black line and cut out the inside of the black line. Then once we have the outside line done, we'll come back and clean it out with a bigger router bit. So we've done the outline, and you see I just followed my line. I've also gone back and taken a pen and marked inside, this is the part I want to cut out. It just helps me from making a mistake. So now I've changed my router bit, and now we have a 1/4 inch router bit, and I'm going to go back in and clean out all the letters inside. I've decided to cut a little border around it. So I set up a fence right here, and the router is going to just ride along this, and that's how I'll keep a straight line. And we're going to put a little groove in it all the way to this line, and we'll go down there and we're going to put one at the bottom too. It'll just give it a little frame around it, give it a little added something. I think it looks better with a little frame. So we're going to cut that little channel in it right now. So I went back and I routed, put a little border around it. Makes it look a little nicer. Now I'm going back and I'm sanding all my edges to get rid of that little burr that it has on it. So I'm going to go ahead and sand that up now, and then we're going to paint the Coca-Cola white. So now we're going to take our stain and we're going to paint white in here and get these edges too. And I'll just put it on in here. Now, we've got our white stain, and I've gone around and made sure I got all the edges. After this dries, we're going to go back and we're going to sand the top of it, and then we'll add our red. Okay, so now we've let our stain dry overnight, and now we're going to take our sander and sand the top face of it, and it's going to sand off the white stain. So that'll just leave the letters that have the white stain in them, and we're going to go back and put the red stain over the top. So now we're going to sand it. Now I'm just going to go back and clean up the edges a little bit, and once I have that done, we can apply our red stain. Now we're going to apply our crimson red, and we're going to put it on real light because we don't want to drop any inside the white. But if we do get any on the white, we can just go back and touch it up later. Okay, now we have our stain. We're going to let it dry overnight, and tomorrow we'll come back and put 2 coats of the clear on it, and it'll be ready. Now we've let our stain dry overnight. Now we're going to put a coat of some urethane clear on it. Okay, so I put 2 coats of the urethane clear on it. And you just get back and look at the angle and make sure you got it all wet, because this type of wood with this stain is bad to soak up. So I just go back and double check everything. And there's our sign.